Oh, okay, well, today we're gonna talk a little bit more about meta regression. So let's start. Well, let's start with the definition of a meta regression. So it's a tool used in meta-analysis to explore and quantify sources of variability in effect sizes. So we want to identify what is causing the variability in the results by incorporating study level covariates as predictors. It provides insights into which factors can influence treatment effects and help clarify heterogeneity. So here we have some graphics, some people using meta regressions. We have the effect sizes, which from individual studies, when they are analyzed by the predictors, sorry, which are the moderators, and we want to understand the variability. So the regression line is to identify the relationship, and we can help to determine the where certain studies characteristic affects treatment outcomes. So basically, we want to identify if sex, age, education, country income are affecting the result of our meta-analysis. So the first thing is to conduct the meta-analysis, then we need to identify if is there any factor influencing the results or the heterogeneity of the results. Well, meta-regression is essential for understanding heterogeneity in meta-analysis. When we identify the study's characteristics that explain difference in effect sizes, we can improve the result interpretation and provide directions for future research. So this is very important for a meta-analysis because we can help do- to to make it to help in the decision making and to provide future research to explore the external factors affecting the results. So for meta regressions to yield valid results, it relies on key assumptions like the linear relationships between predictors and effect sizes, adequate sample size. So we can also do a meta regression by the sample size. So we can have two groups of sample size, or one group with a small sample size and another group with a bigger sample size. So we can identify if the sample size is affecting the result. Because another very important thing is because most of the meta analysis can have a bias because always the external factors or characteristics can affect the result. As we can see, if you conduct the same study in a rich country and in a lower middle income country, the results will be different because people don't have the same access to healthcare and don't have the same knowledge about the chronic disease. A classic example is the multimorbidity, where the prevalence is higher in high-income countries than in low and middle-income countries. This is because people don't know they have the disease in low-income countries because they don't have the adequate access to healthcare. Just a second, please. So we have basically two models of a meta regression. The first is the first one is univariate. So in this case, we have only predictor, or you can have a multivariate meta regressions in advanced meta regression because we can have more than only prediction predictor at the same time. So we can test three, four, two variables in the same model. So if you think we can test one of them each time, or you can test two, three, or four variables in the same time using the multivariate models. Most of the times we use, I think 100% of the times we use the random effects model because we start at the conception that are the heterogeneity to conduct the meta regression. So we need to use the random effects to account for the variability of across the studies. So the first step to conduct a meta regression is identify the research question and select the appropriate moderators. So the best thing here is to have a specialist in the subject. So if you are studying, as example, multimorbidity, is good to have specialists in multimorbidity who can identify the predictors that can affect the main result. We need to gather effect size data and the study level characteristics. So when we started doing the systematic review and we start collecting data from studies, we can collect all of the data, not just the data for the meta-analysis, but more data like characteristics like sex, age, education, and some other variables to perform a meta-regression if needed. Then the step three is to perform a regression analysis to assess the relationships. So basically, meta regression is not so complex. It's easy to run because we in this part we have done almost everything in the systematic review, and the meta regression is the last step. So the moderators in meta regression are study level characteristics hypothesized to explain heterogeneity. So we start in the thinking what can affect the results, what are the characteristics causing heterogeneity, and we gonna use it to do a regression to see if this characteristics is affecting or not the result. The selection must be by the theory, like I told before, so it is important to have a specialist. We need to do previous research. Most of the cases our systematic review are not new, are not the only one. So maybe we are updating an old systematic review. We can look at the previous systematic review in the same research question to see what the characteristics are affecting the results. And the data availability is very important because not all studies will have the same data. So we need to see what the studies are providing. In some cases, we can contact the authors of the studies to get some additional data. But in most of the cases, they do not happy to our contact. So we need to use the data provided by the studies. Just a second. So the meta-regression coefficients indicate the strength and the direction of the relationship between predictors and the effect sizes, where a positive slope suggests an increasing effect, while significance is assessed by the p-value and the confidence interval. So basically, we're gonna interpret the results of the meta-regression looking at the p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, we have a external characteristics affecting the result. If the p-value is null, we don't have a significant statistical, so we can reject the the alternative hypothesis. So the meta regressions will address the heterogeneity by incorporating moderators into the analysis. While it can explain some variability, the always will exist the residual heterogeneity. We cannot remove all the heterogeneity, but the meta regression will help us to reduce as more we can the heterogeneity. So maybe we need to do some further exploration or additional predictors. If not available by the studies, we need to put this in the discussion. So, not I it is important to say that the meta regression is not perfect, so there are some limitations. It may suffer from ecological bias, some by small sample size. Most of the cases we have small sample sizes and maybe the multicollinearity also. We need to take care. So it's very important to careful plan and interpretation. The results is crucial for robust results. So as example, as we see in the multiple bit studies, most of the biggest or of the highest sample size comes from studies from high income countries. While in low and middle income countries, the sample sizes are lower. So this is a bias because the countries from high income have more sample sizes. So this is a bias, and we cannot control this bias. So we need to be careful with the interpretation. Well, talk about the models, we have the more popular and used meta regression technique, which is the univariate meta regression. So in this case, we gonna examine the relationship between a single predictor and the effect sizes across studies. So it is very useful for initial exploration. In most of the cases, it's enough for the research question. So and the another thing is that is more used because there is limitation in the data between studies. So most of the cases we cannot explore all the characteristics because the studies don't have enough data. So as example, we can explore just the sex in some cases, but we cannot explore the, I don't know, maybe the health insurance, maybe the education, because the studies don't provide this data. So we need to explore just only variable. So the here we have first we talked about the univariate. Now we're gonna talk about the multivariate meta regression. In this case, the big difference is that we gonna incorporate multiple predictors simultaneous. We can do this one by one, or in this case, we can incorporate all the predictors. So if we think the sex, the age, the education are affecting the results, we can test all of them together and see uh, who are the more the variable more affecting the results. So we can do all of them together, or we can do all of them one by one. This is good because it will allow us for adjustment for confounding and the interactions between moderators. We need to take care about the adjustments of the study. So most of the studies tend to adjust the regulations for the confoundings. So we can't, we need to take care about this. So, but most of the case we tend to use the univariate because of the data variable. Well, in meta-regression, the random effects models is used to account for variability, not explained by the moderator. So if the results of our meta-analysis are very heterogeneous, we gonna use the meta-regression to see how much the variable is affecting the variability of the results. It includes an additional variance term to reflect between study difference, so making the results more generalizable. The model fit meta regressions is assessed using the R2 statistics, which quantifies the proportion of variability explained by the moderators. So the residual heterogeneity and the diagnostic checks ensure the model validity and the robustness. Basically, here we're gonna see how much the heterogeneity is explained by the variable, and the rest is the heterogeneity who that we cannot explain. Most of the cases, if we find the right variables, we can explain almost 100% of the heterogeneity of the results. But this will depend of the data availability by the studies. So the categorical moderators in meta-regressions allow researchers to explore differences in effect sizes across distinct groups, such as levels of intervention, dose of the medication, or study quality. We can perform meta-regression by study quality, so we can test the low study qualities versus the high study quality and see if the low study quality has a more heterogeneity than the high study quality. And in most of the cases, we gonna find a statistical significance. So this approach will help to clarify subgroup effects in the systematic review. So this will help us to explain the heterogeneity that we find in the systematic review and the meta-analysis. Just a second, guys. Well, the continual moderators in meta-regression will explore how the numerical studies characteristics impact effect sizes. So in this case, we will assess the linear changes, and we can understand where increasing variable like treatment duration will influence the results. In this case, we are using the continual variable, but we can also use the categorical by because it's more simple to understand. So if you have the treatment duration, we can do a categorization about in this variable. So we can have a low treatment duration and a high treatment duration. So maybe could be more easy to understand. The confounding meta-regulations arises when moderators are correlated with the unmeasured variables. influencing the effect sizes. So the multivariator models help control for these relationships, ensuring a valid and unbiased result. So not all the times we can explain the heterogeneity, but in most of the case we can find a way to explain the heterogeneity. Just talk about the interaction terms in meta-regressions. So the interaction terms in meta-regressions evaluate whether the effect of one moderator depends of the level of another. So if they are correlated, this approach reviews combined effects, providing a deeper understanding of a study's characteristics, influencing the results. Well, the statistical power is a common limitation in meta regression because most of the cases we have a small number of studies, and this can reduce the likelihood of detecting significant relationships. The research showed you prioritize the key moderators and the into larger data sets to improve the power, but most of the cases this is not the reality. So we need to take in count these limitations. Maybe in epidemiological studies, we can find a lot of studies in some research questions, and it is easier to understand. But in meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials, most of the cases we have very small sample sizes and a very small number of studies. So we need to take this in. We need to look at this limitation. We need to take care also about the residual heterogeneity, reflecting the variability that remain after including moderators in meta-regulation model. And in most of the cases, this residual heterogeneity will cannot be explained because we don't have enough data to do more analysis, more subgroup analysis or more meta regressions with another variables. So this high residual heterogeneity suggests the presence of unrealized factors or incomplete explanation of variability. So we need to discuss these limitations in the discussion of your paper. This is very important because in like I told before, in maybe in meta-analysis of epidemiological studies, we can explain almost all the heterogeneity, but in meta-regressions of randomized controlled trials, we cannot explain all the heterogeneity. So this is a limitation. Well, while subgroup analysis divides studies into predefined categories, meta-regression models using continuous, it will it will assess the continual variables. So a very important thing is that both methods are valuable for understanding source of variability, and the choosing of the method will depend of us. In most of the cases, I prefer to use the categorical variables because it can explain almost all the heterogeneity, but we can test both. In the case of age, if we have the continuous age of the studies, like the mean age, we can test the continuous age and we can test the categorical age. But as we see in the studies, most of the cases we have not enough data to test both categorical and the continuous variables. We can report the meta regressions results. We cannot. We need to report the meta regressions results using transparency and clarified interpretation because it's not easy for everyone. So the key outputs can include the regressions coefficients, confidential intervals, and heterogeneity statistics. We can also use the scatter plots to illustrate the findings, effects. Most of the case, just the p-value is enough, but the scatter plots can help us to understand if you have the continuous variables. Particularly, I never used the scatter plot for meta regressions purposes, but I saw a lot of studies using the scatter plot, so it can be a good option. We can do it very easy using the OR or the Python. So maybe the OR because we can conduct the meta regression using OR by the meta package. We can, in my case, most of the times I use the R language to do meta regulation, but we can do it very easy by the HeavyMan from which is a software from the Cochrane. We can use Stata as well. A lot of people use Stata, but I don't like it personally. Particularly, I don't like it because it's a paid program and not everyone have access, so we need to pay to use it, but we can use it by the our language very easy and with the beautiful graphics. So I think the R is the best choosing to conduct meta-analysis, meta-regression, and as well as well the bubble plots for the heterogeneity. After I finish my presentation, I'm gonna open the OR with you and you show how to conduct a meta regression in a very easy way. So I think all of you guys will be able to run a meta regression. Like today, I think yesterday I showed the bubble plots and it is very used in the meta regression. Particularly, I don't use it also because the journals have a limit of figures and tables, so I prefer to use the p-value and do some subgroup meta-analysis, but we can do a bubble plot to help to explain the meta-regression results. So the bubble plots in meta-regressions shows the relationships between moderators and the effect sizes while praising the relative influence of each study through the bubble plot. So when you have a small number of studies, it is a good graphic, but in case of which we have a lot of studies, it cannot be so easy to interpret. So I prefer to use the p-value. Basically, the regression lines will reflect the overall trend across studies. So, and we have the this line to help us to interpret the results. In this case, we have a bubble plot with a lot of studies. As you can see, it's not easy to interpret because each bubble will be a study. So in this case, the problem will have like we have 804 studies, so it's a lot of studies. And basically, the interpretation will involve the examining of the trend line, which shows the direction of the relationship, and analyzing bubble size to understand the study's influence. So, as more bigger the bubble, more the study are influencing the result. And when we have a uniform distribution of the bubbles, it probably will have a lower heterogeneity, but this needs to be confirmed by the p-value. So we need to do the statistical test as well. We have também another option who are the scatter plot. Basically, the scatter plot will provide a straightforward visualization of home. A continuous moderator influences effect sizes. It is very similar to bubble plots, but we don't have the bubbles, but the trend will be the same. And the regression line will illustrate the modeled relationship, helping to identify linear trends or deviations. So we have a lot of challenges in conducting meta-regressions. The most common challenge, I think, is data availability, because there's a limited number of studies or missing moderator data. Most of the cases we see the studies with different data. So this is a challenge. We can do some things to reduce. We can contact the authors of the studies, but in most of the case they will not help us, because they don't have the data. The data set don't have the data we need. So this need to be this need to be considered as a limitation. And I think the collinearity is need to be taken account, because they are when we have some high correlated moderators, it can change us to a biased interpretation. So we need to understand the variables that we are using in the analysis. We have also the problem of overfitting the results, so we cannot include a lot of predictors, a lot of variables, because it will be overfitted. So we gonna have an explanation that are not real. So maybe we can have a fake explanation of the results, because we are using a lot of moderators, a lot of predictors. So we need to take care about this. The sensitivity analysis are crucial for validation meta-regression findings. So I think we need to test the alternative models or excluding the influential studies. Maybe do some subgroup analysis. We can do subgroup analysis very easy in the meta-analysis, and this can help us to explain part of the heterogeneity of the studies. So I think the a perfect meta-analysis will have a subgroup analysis and the meta-regressions to confirm the subgroup results of the meta-analysis. So we need to do both techniques. Talking about the best practices in meta-regressions, we need to choose the moderators by theory or evidence. So we need to do some research to see what characteristics can affect the results. This is easy to do, because always we're gonna have access to a specialist in the subject, so we can understand what can really affect the result or what cannot affect the result, and it can make a confusing the model. So like I told you before, we need to avoid to include too many predictors in small data sets, because this can result in an overfitted model. And we need to clearly describe methods, assumptions, and limitations. If the meta regulations not help us to understand the results, we need to be clear and assume and discuss this limitation in the discussion of the paper. So this is very important. All systematic reviews need to have at least a paragraph about the limitations of the results, the findings, and the future research needed. So this is a very important part of the systematic review. Meta-regulation has broad applications in researches, so it's being very common the use, like most of the case in clinical in meta-analysis from clinical trials, but also meta-analysis from epidemiological studies, because by modeling the moderators, we can provide the insights into factors influencing studies outcomes and the policy implications. So it's not just about the results of the main meta-analysis, but what are the external factors influencing the results. So the first thing is we need to do is see if the meta-analysis has a significant result, and then we need to explore the sources of heterogeneity to explain the results and to help the policy implications. So this is a very important to explore all of the possible results. Now let's open the our program and do some meta regression to see the technique. Yesterday I showed the mini meta package where we can conduct a meta-analysis very easy, but a limitation of this package is that we cannot do meta-regression. We can see the some statistical data, but we cannot do a meta-regression. So to do a meta-regression in R, we need to use the codes. But we can do this using the meta package very easy. So I have a script here with the fake data. So I simulated this data. They are not real, but they are from a treatment a treatment for a chronic disease. So we're gonna see if the result is significant and if there is another external factor of influencing the results. So the first thing we need to do is install the package. I have here the line to install the package if it not installed. So in my order I have it installed. Let's run this line. Now I have my fake data with the mean treatment, the result of the treatment, the standard deviation of the treatment, the EN of each study, so the sample size of the studies, and the same thing for the control group. So this is a meta-analysis of randomized studies of clinical trials. Let's run this line. Here we have the data. Let's open it together. So we have 20 studies with the mean treatment in the first group, the standard deviation and the sample size, and the same thing in the control group. So we have two groups. I have also more two characteristics, the sex, the male and the female, and the country. So I have low and middle income country. Sorry, the income from the country. We have low and middle income countries and the high income countries. So the first thing to do the meta regulation is run the meta analysis first. So first of all, we need to run the meta analysis. This is the command. Okay. Now I'm gonna display the meta analysis results. Here we have the main result of the meta-analysis, but it's more easy to understand by the forest plot. So let's see the forest plot. I created the forest plot by subgroup, so I'm gonna open here. So this is the meta-analysis results. I have the studies from low and middle income countries, and I have the studies from high income countries. And I have the result of all the whole meta-analysis. So This is the result. I have the fixed and the random effects model. In this case, like I told yesterday, the result will be the same because I have 0% of heterogeneity. So basically, there's no heterogeneity. So the common and fixed effect is the same thing. It's the same result as the random effects model because the heterogeneity is don't exist in this case, so it's zero. And the same thing for the high income countries. As we can see here, I think anyone can see that the result from the high income countries is higher. So probably the treatment works better in high income countries. So, and I have the main result from high and the low and the middle income countries. So basically, this treatment has a positive effect in the disease who are accessing. Maybe but I cannot explain the result just looking at the figure. It's important to do the meta regression and see if the country income is affecting the result. So let's do the meta regression. Another important thing is the rate of the studies because when we have a very low heterogeneity and a very similar sample size, all the studies will have a similar rate. So both in common and the random effects model. But if in this case we have a study with a bigger sample size, probably the rate of the studies will be higher in the common effects than in the random effects because when we are using the random effects model, studies with the high sample size will receive a similar rate from the studies with low sample size. But when we are using the common or fixed effect size, the study with a bigger sample size, a higher sample size will get a weight, more percentage of weight than the studies with a low sample size. So let's do the meta regression. In this case, I will do meta regression just for the income of the countries because this fake data is using the same numbers for sexes, so the result will be the same. This is the command to do the meta regression. Basically, I will put the name of the meta regression I want. In this case, I put the name. The command is meta reg. I put the name of my analysis from my meta-analysis and the name of a variable I want to explain. So let's run together. Okay, and let's display the results. Here are the results. Basically, we need to look at the p-value from the variable we want to explain the results. In this case, is the country commerce. So we're gonna look to this p-value. As we can see, the p is lower than 0.05, so basically the country income is affecting the results. This is a external factor, so the it's not because of the study, but because of the country study. In this case, we have the country affecting the result. Let's open together the forest plot. As we can see here, if you look at just the confidence intervals, the results are the same because this confidence interval is inside this confidence interval. So by just looking at the forest plot, the results are the same in both the low and the middle and the high income countries. But when we do the meta regression, we have a positive value, a significant value saying the result is affected by the country income. Just let me see another. How is the name of this search? Okay, now the data are the same. So basically, is this, guys. This is the how we can perform a meta regression using the R language. And the most important thing is to conduct the meta-analysis, do some group meta-analysis, then explore the external factors by using the meta-regressions techniques. And always we need to look at the p-value. We can look also at the confidence intervals. So these are the confidence intervals, and both are negative confidence intervals. So basically, the results are confirmed by the confidence intervals. In this case, we have a significant result saying the country is affecting the result. So the country income is affecting the result of our meta-analysis. I don't know if you know if there is a question, but this is how we can perform meta regression. Let me stop the share. Any questions? I can share this script with you. It's a very simple script, but we can we can use it to increment the script and do some bubble plots. It's very easy. Just need to use the command bubble, and we can do also use the ggplot to do a better bubble plot, because the meta package don't have a beautiful bubble plot, but in most of the case, I prefer to use just the p-value and the confidence intervals from the meta regression. There is another package I use sometimes the name is Metaphor. It's also a good package, but I prefer to use the meta package because I have more options. But both packages works well, and it can be used instead of Stata or HeavyMan. No questions? Well, I think no questions, so we can finish.
Hello, hello, Dr. Philippi. I think
Hey,
they have no questions right now. Let them go through the video, and if they have any doubt, they will contact you through email. I think is it be okay?
uh, that's okay. I just shared the script of a meta regression with the Abhinav, so he can share
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
And if you have any doubt, I will be happy to. to help you by email.
Sure, sure.
Okay? Thank you
Okay.
for the class. Hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.